August 12, 1960. Lucky Luciano's villa, overlooking the Bay of Naples. Santo Trafficante walked through the door thinking he was there for dinner, to discuss business, to spend time with his old friend. He had no idea he had 3 hours left to live. Lucky greeted him warmly. Handshake, embrace. Santo. Come in. Come in. I have a beautiful meal prepared. We need to talk about Cuba. Santo smiled, relaxed. This was good. Lucky wanted to talk business, maybe expand operations, maybe open new casinos now that Castro had taken over. What Santo didn't know, Lucky had discovered the theft 3 days earlier, had spent 72 hours planning this exact moment, had decided that Santo Trafficante, his friend of 30 years, would die tonight, and Lucky would kill him personally. To understand what happened that night, you need to understand Lucky and Santo's relationship. They'd met in 1930. Santo was a young up-and-comer in the Tampa mob. Lucky was modernizing organized crime. They hit it off immediately. Shared vision, shared ambition. By 1940, they were business partners. In 1946, when Lucky was deported to Italy, Santo helped him set up the Cuban casino operations. They made millions together. Havana in the 1950s was paradise for the mob. Beautiful casinos. No regulation. Batista took his cut and let them run wild. Lucky and Santo each owned pieces of major hotels, the Tropicana, the Capri, the Nacional. Money was flowing. Life was good. Then Castro's revolution succeeded in 1959. The casinos were shut down. Assets seized. Lucky and Santo lost millions overnight, but they still had money in offshore accounts. Millions that Castro couldn't touch. Lucky's cut was supposed to be 60%. Santo's was 40%, except Santo had been lying about the numbers for 2 years, skimming, stealing, moving money into his personal accounts. He'd stolen $500 in 1960. That was over $5 million in today's money. Santo thought Lucky would never find out, thought Lucky was too far away in Naples, too old, too out of touch. He was wrong. August 9, 1960. 3 days before the dinner, Meyer Lansky called Lucky in Naples. "Charlie, we got a problem." "What kind of problem?" "The Cuban accounts. The ones we moved offshore before Castro took over. Santo's numbers don't match mine." Lucky's jaw tightened. "How big is the discrepancy?" "500 grand. Maybe more." "Charlie, I think Santo's been skimming." Lucky didn't say anything for 10 seconds. Just processed the information. "Then you're sure?" "I checked 3 times. The money's gone, and the only person with access besides you and me is Santo." "Don't tell anyone." Lucky said, "I'll handle it." "How?" "My way." Lucky hung up, sat in his office, overlooking the Mediterranean. Thinking, planning. Santo Trafficante. Friend for 30 years. Partner. Confidant. One of the few men Lucky trusted completely. And he'd been stealing. Lucky could have sent killers to Tampa. Could have had Santo shot in his car, or at his home, or at his favorite restaurant. Clean. Professional. Done. But that's not what Lucky wanted. Because this wasn't just about Santo stealing money. This was about Santo thinking Lucky was weak. Thinking exile meant Lucky couldn't enforce discipline. Thinking friendship would protect him. Lucky wanted to send a different message, a personal message. So Lucky called Santo. Friendly. Casual. "Santo, come to Naples. We need to discuss the Cuban situation. See if we can salvage anything. Plus, I miss you. We should catch up." Santo hesitated. "Is this about the accounts?" "Of course it's about the accounts. We lost millions. We need a strategy. Come next week, I'll have a meal prepared. We'll talk business." "Okay, Charlie. I'll be there." Santo flew to Naples on August 11th. Arrived at Lucky's villa the afternoon of August 12th. Lucky's villa was spectacular. Clifftop location overlooking the Bay of Naples. 7 bedrooms, indoor pool, staff of 6. This was how Lucky lived in exile. Not poor, not suffering, just away from America. Santo arrived at 6 p.m. Lucky greeted him personally, warm, friendly, no hint of what was coming. "Santo, you look good. Come in. How was the flight?" "Long, but worth it to see you, Charlie." They went to the terrace, overlooking the bay, sunset painting the water orange and purple, beautiful, peaceful. A servant brought drinks, scotch for both of them. They toasted. "To friendship," Lucky said, looking Santo in the eye. "To friendship," Santo repeated, not catching the irony. They talked for an hour, about Cuba, about Castro's, about opportunities in Vegas, now that the Cuban pipeline was cut off. Business talk, easy conversation between old friends. At 7:30 p.m., dinner was served. In the formal dining room, 8-course Italian meal, antipasta, pasta, fish, meat, each course perfectly prepared. 2 other men joined them. Carlo Gambino from New York and Michele Sindona, Lucky's Italian connection. Both were there as witnesses. Though Santo didn't know that yet. The conversation stayed light. They discussed politics, sports, women, no mention of money, no mention of the accounts. Santo started to relax. This was just a friendly dinner. Charlie wasn't suspicious. Everything was fine. At 10:15 p.m., after dessert, tiramisu and espresso, Lucky's demeanor changed. He set down his cup, looked at Santo. The warmth in his eyes disappeared, replaced by something cold, something final. "Santo," Lucky said, "we need to discuss the Cuban accounts." Santo's smile faltered. "Sure, Charlie. What about them?" "Meyer tells me there's money missing. About 500,000. The room went silent. Carlo and Michele stopped eating, watched. "There's been some confusion with the offshore transfers," Santo said carefully. "Castro seized." "Don't," Lucky interrupted. "Don't insult me with lies. The money was moved before Castro took anything. I know exactly how much was there, and I know exactly how much is missing." Santo's face went pale. "Charlie, I can explain. You've been skimming for 2 years. You thought I wouldn't notice. Thought I was too far away. Too old. Too trusting. Charlie, please. You stole from me," Lucky said, his voice eerily calm. "My friend of 30 years. My partner. You stole $500,000 and thought you'd get away with it." Santo tried to stand. "I can pay it back. I swear." "It was just sit down," Lucky commanded. Santo sat. Lucky pulled a revolver from his jacket, set it on the table, next to his coffee cup. "Do you know what that is, Santo?" "Charlie, please. Don't do this. That's the gun I used to kill Joe Masseria in 1931. I've kept it for 29 years. Know why?" Santo was crying now. "Why? To remind me that friendship doesn't excuse betrayal. Joe thought I was his friend, thought I was loyal. Right up until the moment I put a bullet in his head." Lucky picked up the gun. "You made the same mistake Joe did. You forgot who I am, what I'm capable of. I'll give it all back," Santo sobbed. "Every penny, plus interest. Charlie, we've been friends for 30 years. And you threw that away for money," Lucky said. "For $500,000 you destroyed 30 years of friendship. That's on you, not me." Lucky stood. So did Carlo and Michele. Santo tried to run, but Carlo grabbed him. Strong, professional. "On your knees," Lucky said. "No, Charlie, please. I have kids. A wife. So did the people whose lives you helped destroy with the drugs we smuggled through those Cuban casinos. So do the families of the men I've killed over the years. Everyone has people who miss them. That doesn't change what has to happen." Carlo forced Santo to his knees, tied his hands behind his back with rope. "Please," Santo begged. "Don't do this. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." Lucky walked behind Santo, pressed the gun against the back of his head. You know what the worst part is, Santo? I actually considered forgiving you. 500 grand isn't enough to ruin me. I thought about it. Thought about our history. Our friendship. All the years. He cocked the hammer. But then I realized, if I let you live, if I let you get away with this, everyone would think I'm weak. Every other friend, every other partner, they'd think Lucky's soft now. Lucky doesn't enforce discipline. We can steal from him. So this isn't about the money. It's about the principle. It's about sending a message that nobody, not even my best friend, is above the rules. Santo was hyperventilating. Please, Charlie, please. Goodbye, Santo. Lucky pulled the trigger. The gunshot echoed through the villa. Santo's body fell forward. Blood pooled on the marble floor. Lucky stood there for a moment, gun still in his hand, looking at his dead friend. Then he handed the gun to Carlo. Clean it. Put it back where it belongs. He walked to the bathroom, washed his hands, washed the blood spatter off his face, changed his shirt. When he came back, Carlo and Michelle had wrapped Santo's body in plastic. They'd carry it to Lucky's boat, take it 10 miles out into the Bay of Naples, weighted down with chains, dropped to the bottom where it would never be found. Lucky poured himself another scotch, walked onto the terrace, looked at the moonlight on the water. Carlo joined him. "You okay, boss?" "No," Lucky said quietly. "I just killed my friend. I'll never be okay with that. He betrayed you. I know. Doesn't make it easier, doesn't make it hurt less, but it had to be done. The message will be clear," Carlo said. "Nobody steals from Lucky Luciano." "That's the point," Lucky said. "That's always been the point. In this business, the moment people think you're weak, the moment they think rules don't apply to them, everything falls apart. So you enforce the rules, even when it costs you, even when it hurts." He drank his scotch. "Santo was my friend. I liked him, but he made a choice, and choices have consequences." Santo Trafficante's disappearance was reported to the FBI 3 days later by his family. He'd gone to Naples for a business meeting, never came back, never called, just vanished. The FBI investigated, questioned Lucky Luciano. Lucky's response: "Santo and I had dinner, discussed business. He left around midnight, said he was going to a hotel. I never saw him again. Maybe he got in trouble. Maybe he met a woman. I don't know. No body was ever found. No evidence of foul play. Santo Trafficante was simply gone." His family believed Lucky killed him, but they couldn't prove it. And even if they could, what would they do? Call the police on Lucky Luciano? In the underworld, the truth spread quickly. Santo stole from Lucky. Lucky executed him personally. 1 bullet, back of the head, then dumped his body in the Bay of Naples. The message was clear. Don't steal from Lucky Luciano. Don't betray him. Don't think friendship will save you, because it won't. Carlo Gambino told this story years later, after Lucky's death, to demonstrate a point about leadership. Lucky loved Santo. You could see it when he pulled the trigger, see the pain in his eyes, but he did it anyway, because a boss who doesn't enforce rules isn't a boss. He's a friend. And you can't run an organization on friendship. You run it on respect. The gun Lucky used, the same one he'd used to kill Joe Masseria, supposedly ended up in a private collection after Lucky's death. Authenticated. Tested. 2 bullets fired from it matched bodies pulled from the East River in the 1930s. Whether it's the same gun he used on Santo, nobody knows. The body was never found. No ballistics to compare. But the story lives on. About the night Lucky Luciano proved that in the mafia, there's no such thing as best friends. There are only soldiers, partners, associate, and anyone who forgets that, anyone who thinks personal relationships, Excuse betrayal ends up like Santo Trafficante at the bottom of the Bay of Naples, with one bullet in the back of their head. If this story of ultimate betrayal shocked you, hit that subscribe button. Drop a like if you understand that in organized crime, friendship is conditional. Comment below, could you execute your best friend if they betrayed you? Remember, Lucky Luciano built his empire on one principle, loyalty, and when someone violated that principle, even his best friend, Lucky enforced it personally. That's not cruelty. That's leadership. Cold, brutal, necessary leadership.